Welcome to the Orange Twist, your 10-minute shot of insight to shake up your thinking on leadership, culture, and change. Hosted by Giovanna D'Alessio, Master Certified Coach. Episode 34, that half-second delay. There is a moment I've been noticing more and more in leadership conversations, and it's not dramatic. It doesn't come with big words or visible tension. It's almost easy to miss unless you slow down enough to feel it from the inside. It usually happens in a meeting that looks perfectly normal. Slides are moving, someone is presenting a set of options, there is data, there are scenarios, sometimes there is even a certain elegance in how everything has been put together. And you are sitting there, listening, following, and then at some point, something very small happens, almost nothing really, just a fraction of a second, where you realize you are not entirely inside the conversation in the way you used to be. You are still there, of course. You understand the words. You can reconstruct the logic, but there is a slight delay, like your internal processing is just a bit behind what is being said. And it's not because the content is more complex than before. It's something else, something harder to name. And what I find interesting is what happens next, because that tiny gap doesn't stay neutral for long. It starts to fill up. A thought comes in very quickly, almost like a whisper. Do I really get this well enough to challenge it? And right after, another one, slightly more uncomfortable. If I don't challenge it, what exactly is my role here? And then often nothing is said. The meeting continues, the conversation moves on, a decision is shaped, maybe even a good one, and from the outside, everything looks as it should, except that inside, something has shifted just a little, almost imperceptibly. I was with a senior leader a few weeks ago, someone who has been in her role for years, highly respected, very sharp. And she was describing a situation like this without making a big deal out of it, almost in passing. And then she paused, and she said something like, "It's strange. I used to feel that I could enter any conversation and very quickly see what was missing. And now sometimes I feel I need more time, and the conversation doesn't wait." We stayed there for a while, because there is something quite delicate in that sentence. Not knowing is not new for leaders. Uncertainty is part of the job, but this is slightly different. This is not about facing something unknown out there. It is about noticing a change in how you relate to what is happening, a change in your own speed, or maybe in the speed of the environment around you. And what makes it even more subtle is that nothing explicitly confirms it. No one says you're behind. No one questions your legitimacy. If anything, people still look at you, still expect you to speak, still assume that you will have a point of view. So you are left alone with that micro experience, trying to make sense of it. Do you trust it? Or do you dismiss it? Do you compensate by speaking earlier, more decisively, even if you're not fully there yet? Or do you stay quiet a bit longer and risk disappearing from the center of the conversation? I sometimes wonder how many of these moments accumulate before something becomes visible. Because they do accumulate. Not in a dramatic way, more like a series of almost invisible adjustments. A slight holding back here, a bit more preparation there, maybe a growing preference for familiar topics where you know you can still move fast, where you can still feel that immediate clarity. And slowly, without anyone deciding it, the shape of your presence changes. There is also something about identity in all of this, something that is not often spoken about in organizations, at least not directly. Many leaders have built their sense of contribution around being the ones who could see patterns quickly, who could connect dots before others did, who could cut through complexity and say, this is what matters. It becomes part of how you know yourself in the role. So what happens when that is not as immediate as it used to be? Not gone, but not immediate. Do you notice it? Or do you try to maintain the same image, the same rhythm, even when internally something feels slightly out of sync? I remember another conversation, this time in a team setting, where a decision was being discussed based on insights generated through a mix of data analysis and AI tools. And there was a moment where one of the leaders leaned back, almost physically stepping out of the conversation for a second, and then came back in with a question that shifted everything. It was not a technical question, it was more human, almost basic. Why does this matter to us now? And you could feel the room reorganize around that. It made me think that maybe the point is not to recover the same kind of speed, the same kind of immediate grasp, but to notice where you can still intervene in a way that changes the conversation. But even that, I'm not sure it's a conclusion. It might just be another way of staying in the game. So I keep coming back to that initial moment, that half second of hesitation, because it carries more information than we usually allow. There is something in there about how the context is evolving, about how knowledge is produced, about where authority comes from, and also about how we as leaders keep redefining what it means to be present, to contribute, and to matter. And maybe the question is not so much how to eliminate that gap, how to become fast again in the same way, but how to stay in contact with it without immediately closing it. Because there might be something in that delay that we actually need. I don't know. But I'm curious what happens if next time you notice that slight internal pause, you don't rush to fix it. And instead you just stay with it a fraction longer than feels comfortable, just enough to see what kind of question emerges from there and whether that question has a different quality than the ones you would have asked when everything felt immediate. If this episode stirs something in you, subscribe to The Orange Twist, your weekly shot of insight on leadership, culture, and change, served with a twist. So join me next time for another fresh pour of perspective.